Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the General Assembly of the ITK Youth Parliament. Today is May 19th. In Mustafa Kemal Atatürk's opinion, May 19 was the date that the Republic of Turkey gained its independence. Therefore, to the people asking his birthday, Atatürk always replied as 19 May 1990. In 1938, this special day was gifted to our youth, to whom Atatürk entrusted our nation and who will keep it alive eternally. In order to always remember our great leader and the founder of the Turkish Republic and show our gratitude to him, its name was changed to the commemoration of Atatürk Youth and Sports Day in 1981. We promised to protect the entrusted. My fellow friends, as the youth of the Turkish Republic, we have been working in the committees since March. The committees have debated the issues affecting us in Turkey. Let me introduce you to the board members first. Selin Ertuğgan, Bişircan Çalışkan, Melisa Bisne Şarklı, Yağmur Akyıldız, and Tolga Kalkan. Please take notes while the committee leaders are presenting their resolution papers because you will ask your questions to the committees once they share their resolutions with us. Let's start. Our first committee is on culture and education by Marmaris campus. The committee leader is Lara Miyayhan. The floor is yours, Lara.
Okay, thank you, dear moderator. Motion for a resolution by the Committee on Culture and Education. Do you think the content and characteristics of the current Turkish education programme contribute to the human equipment of the 21st century? In the educational programmes and throughout the learning teaching process, what kind of habits and abilities should students gain, and what skills are important in terms of their academic and social development? The ITK Youth Parliament. Noting with approval that Turkey must enhance the national education system and adapt the national curriculum applied in the schools countrywide to comply with the requirements of the modern education programmes in order to ensure access to quality education for all and regular class attendance. Emphasising the importance of supporting teachers on the job professional development and, in particular, the necessity of implement teacher training programmes to raise teachers' awareness of the role of the learning teaching process and their students' cognitive, academic and social development, and teachers' ability to transform their current methodology according to the changes and developments in the field of education that have brought a variety of modifications to meet the requirements of the 21st century. Expecting the authorities to promote academic resilience and academic success, including success against all odds for children from disadvantaged families, for instance by setting up programmes fostering a positive school climate and motivation to learn for socially disadvantaged students. Desiring the inclusion in curricula, more teaching on human rights, democracy, social justice, multicultural society, tolerance, peaceful conflict resolution, and mutual respect in order to advance, in the most efficient and smoothest manner, the inclusion and socialisation of new students, knowing that education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality. Bearing in mind that creating an aligned 21st century public education system that prepares students, workers and citizens to triumph in the global skills race is a central economic competitiveness issue for the next decades. 1. Affirms the critical importance of academic freedom for advancing and disseminating knowledge, fostering independent thinking and expression, strengthening democracy and contributing to the common good of society. 2. Further recommends to take action to A. Adapt education, if necessary, in order to suit the specific needs of women, girls, teenagers, and persons with disabilities. B. Enhance the status and working conditions of teachers, address shortages of qualified teachers, and promote the training of teachers so that they can respond to the diversity in the classroom. C. Improve all aspects of the quality of education aimed at ensuring excellence of all persons, so that recognised and measurable learning outcomes are achieved by all, especially in literacy, numeracy, essential life skills, and human rights education. D. Emphasise the development of quality indicators and monitoring instruments, to consider undertaking or supporting studies on best practices for elaborating and implementing strategies, for improving the quality of education and meeting the learning needs of all, and to carry out surveys and build up a knowledge base in order to provide advice on the use of information and communication technologies in education. E. recognise and promote lifelong learning for all in both formal and informal settings, and to support domestic literacy programmes, including vocational education components and non-formal education, in order to reach marginalised children, youth and adults, especially girls and women, and persons with disabilities, to ensure that they enjoy the right to education. Intensify the efforts in providing a more accessible education system and ensure that the right of education is guaranteed for every child. G. Adapt education programmes and learning to the 21st century skills and to promote the 4 Cs: creativity, critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. 3. Expresses its hope that every aspect of our education system, pre-K-12, post-secondary, and adult education, after school and youth development, workforce development and training, and professional preparation programmes, must be aligned to prepare citizens with the 21st century skills they need to compete. Thank you. The floor is yielded to the moderator.
Thank you, Nara. Asking questions is now in order.
Well, I have a question. The committee has mentioned many clauses about disadvantaged people, which are disabled mainly and having hard time at education, obviously. Is the committee aware of the fact that this is a product of Turkish people, discrimination which is never mentioned and solved?
We are aware of this fact. In fact, we actually have clauses regarding preparing teachers to combat this issue so that they're better equipped in fighting this problem.
Okay, thank you.
Do any of the other committees have any questions? I think there are no questions. Then the board members shall explicate their acceptances.
Thanks, Tarkan. As the board members, we find your solutions applicable, so we accept it. There were really detailed solutions. There were great word choices. The formatting was great. And especially we like the part about promoting and working on teacher training. That's all I'm going to say. The floor is yielded to the moderator.
Thank you. Now we will continue with the second committee on sports, art, and culture by Bornova campus. The committee leader is Yasemin Işıldak. You may start, Yasemin.
Thank you, moderator. Motion for resolution by the Committee on Sports, Arts, and Culture. How can substantial impact on sports and arts be resolved and young people be engaged in sports and arts in the new normal? The ITK Youth Parliament. A. Realizing that the government don't take enough precautions that would prevent COVID-19 from spreading, therefore making it hard for sports and artistic activities to be held. B. Convinced that the sports and artistic activities are a crucial part of every individual's life and trusting the UNESCO Arts Education Program, which aims at establishing a common ground of understanding on the important roles of arts education within the international community. C. Deeply concerned about the mental health of the athletes who were restricted by quarantine rules, artists who weren't allowed to perform, practice, and individuals who are involved in art, playing sports as their main job, not being able to maintain a steady income to afford their basic needs. D. Fully aware of the fact that some arts sports facilities may have issues during the reopening process due to the damage of the ongoing pandemic. 1. Calls upon every member state to take proper precautions for the pandemic to end as soon as possible, which would be in favor of sports and arts activities by A. Allowing athletes to practice in the limits of the quarantine, such as I. Not allowing restaurants, cafeterias to serve. II. Checking the citizens as strictly as possible. III. Singling out the safe outdoor places to practice. IV. Making sure that the athletes who are going to compete for interstate internationally took the COVID-19 test and got vaccinated if they have no valid reason not to. B. Allowing professional athletes to practice on curfew days by providing them ID cards with QR codes. 2. Trusts UN Sports, Peace, and the Millennium Development Goals, UNESCO Arts Education Program to actively help for the artistic activities held post-COVID-19. 3. Encourages governments to work collaboratively to provide psychological help to all citizens and sports physical activities at home, bearing those who currently lack access to the internet in mind, encouraging all the citizens to seek help when needed. 4. Requests the government to provide a minimum wage to the full-time job artists, athletes who cannot work due to the pandemic to afford their basic needs by requesting UN's financial support by funds for arts sports centers. With that being said, thank you. The floor is yielded back to the moderator.
Thank you, Yasemin. Now let's turn to our friends for their questions to the second committee.
We do have a question. We would like to ask what you think about our concerns funding being better distributed towards professions previously lesser income.
Can they rephrase the question? We couldn't really hear it.
I'm sorry, should I rephrase or repeat the question?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. We would like to ask what you think about our concerns on funding being better distributed towards
is there anyone willing to answer from my committee? Anyone? Seeing there are none, I would like to answer this by, of course, we are depending on UN's trust funds, basically.
Is the cold committee satisfied with the answer?
Yes, thank you for that.
Okay. Do any of the other committees have any questions?
We do have a question.
You may ask your question.
Does the committee believe that in order to tackle effects of pandemic on arts and sports, it is worth not allowing cafes and restaurants serve?
We do believe that indeed, because of course, the sports and artistic activities to be, they should be held in the first place.
But the committee included it as a clause in their resolution.
Yes, in the clause, we say the same thing.
Okay. Do any of the other committees have any questions? Okay. Now, let's turn to the board members for them to explicate their acceptances.
Thank you, Tarkan. As the board members, we find your solutions applicable, so we accept it. Although the ideas were great, the number of the clauses and their lengths were not enough. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I yield the floor back to the moderator.
Thank you. Then let's carry on with the third committee on environment, public health and food safety by Manisa campus. The committee leader is Elif Berce Özel. The floor is yours, Elif.
Thank you, moderator. Motion for a resolution by the Committee on Environment, Public Health and Food Safety. Turkey is responsible for about a fifth of all plastic leaked into the Mediterranean, said the World Wide Fund. Wildlife is already paying a heavy toll, which has effects on human health as well. Almost half of the fish in Turkey have been found to contain microplastics. How can we prevent plastic pollution from destroying vulnerable marine ecosystems? The ITK Youth Parliament. A. Having considered that marine plastic pollution comes from mismanaged plastic waste that is littered or inadequately disposed. Littered waste is a kind of waste that is dumped in unsuitable and unauthorized locations, whereas inadequately disposed waste is a kind of waste that is in uncontained dumps or landfills where it can be transported to the ocean by rivers, wind, or tides. B. Keeping in mind that plastic is used globally, but typically high-income and island nations generate the most plastic waste per capita. The US is the largest generator of plastic waste on a per capita basis, followed by the UK, Brazil, China, and Canada. C. Plastic pollution seeps into the ocean through runoff and even purposeful dumping. The amount of plastic in the Atlantic Ocean has tripled since the 1960s. The garbage patch floating in the Pacific Ocean, almost 620,000 square miles, twice the size of Texas, is a powerful image of our plastic problem. D. Fully alarmed that in the ocean, plastic debris injures and kills fish, seabirds, and marine mammals. Marine plastic pollution has impacted at least 267 species worldwide, including 86% of all sea turtle species, 44% of all seabird species, and 43% of all marine mammal species. E. Emphasizing tiny plastic particles called microbeads, have become a growing source of ocean plastic pollution in recent years. Microbeads are found in some face scrubs, toothpaste, and body washes, and they readily enter our oceans and waterways through our sewerage systems and affects hundreds of marine species. F. Expecting that it couldn't have been specified exactly what the plastic in the ocean looks like, for example, size, shape, what it used to be, because most of it is not likely to be found yet. The best estimation, however, of where plastic is in the ocean is that roughly 0.5% is floating at the sea surface in the open ocean, 26.8% is in coastal ocean waters, 39% is in open ocean waters, and 33.7% is on coastlines and on the ocean floor. 1. Considers organizing activities and discourses aimed at explaining the harm of using products which contains microbeads by looking for polyethylene and polypropylene on the ingredient labels of the cosmetic products like face scrubs, toothpaste, and body washes to people with the support of organizations established to protect nature and the environment. 2. Emphasizes its importance by reminding to adopt green chemistry practices and new materials. Emphasizing banning hard-to-manage substances like expanded polystyrene, commonly a packaging material, limiting the use of chemicals of concern like phthalates, and supporting materials research. Developing new materials that maintain the desirable performance characteristics of plastics, but not the problematic ones, such as true biodegradables, could prevent plastics from causing as much harm if they do enter the ocean. 3. Proposes implementing coastal zone improvements by, for example, restricting open ocean aquaculture. Shifting to sustainable land-based aquaculture systems could reduce a number of pollutants associated with coastal aquaculture, such as plastic pollution from lost or discarded gear and untreated waste with high levels of nitrogen and phosphorus. Encouraging participation in Adapta Beach programs and clean beach certifications, such as Blue Flag and Project Aware, can reduce litter on beaches and make people more aware of pollution. 4. Affirms its importance and aim to raise awareness in every group of age. In order to make the difference in every group of age, including schools and universities in a big project for publishing a national journal every month. By this way, students will be more active on world issues and will be more confident and successful in their future lives. Every student will be working on different parts of the project, and topics will be about environmental problems, animals, space, science, and so on. It will be regularly distributed to educational institutions every month free of charge. 5. It proves that there are many nonprofit organizations working to reduce and eliminate ocean plastic pollution in a variety of different ways, including TEMA, Greenpeace Turkey, Çekül Türkçe, Worldwide Fund, Turkey, Çevko, and Change.org, and others. These organizations rely on donations from people to continue their important work. By the help of National Journal, these companies will have the chance to get known and ensure to receive donations. 6. Takes into consideration to urge companies to change their marketing materials in order to obey the new rules to save the environment. Many municipalities around the world have enacted bans on single-use plastic bags, takeout containers, and bottles, supporting the adoption of such policies in the country. A. Encouraging the public to purchase and carry reusable versions of those products, including reusable grocery bags, bottles, utensils, coffee cups, and dry cleaning garment bags. B. Refusing any kind of single-use plastic products that is not necessary to the average citizen. For example, straws, plastic bags, takeout utensils, and takeout containers. Thank you.
Thank you, Elif. Dear delegates, it's time to raise your questions to the third committee.
Oh, yes, we would like to ask you a question. In your resolution, you mentioned that many countries have banned single use of plastic bags, and you also said we can raise awareness through social media. Social media has been in our lives for a long time. A lot of people use social media, but there's some who don't. So what makes you think that people will make a change by using social media, as there are still some countries that haven't banned single usage of plastic bags? And do you really think usage of plastic will decrease just because they saw it on social media or news? Or how can we use the social media more effectively in order to raise awareness about the plastic pollution?
If it's okay for my committee, I want to answer this question. First of all, thank you for asking. We mentioned lots of resolutions actually, and social media has the biggest impact in our lives, and this cannot be changed. So we agree with the idea that all of the people do not use social media, but we have a majority which we can get in touch. So of course, this is not the first option to change the world. So we have lots of different solutions for that, but in order to make difference and in order to change something, we have to try every possible thing. So, and we've been in social media for too long, especially in this pandemic. So it's really important to change something, and we wanted to give a chance actually. So, and I think you have mentioned that the countries that have been banned to use single-use plastics, there are more than 20 countries who banned that, so we can also do that, I believe. And actually oceans pollution become from plastics, so it's really important to ban single-use ones. Do you have any questions?
No, thank you very much.
Questions from the other committees? I think there aren't any. Then let's hear it from the board members.
Thanks, Tarkan. As the board members, we find your solutions applicable, so we accept it. The reasoning behind this is that we found the solutions very great solutions and great background research, and the floor is yielded to the moderator.
Thank you. It's time to listen to the fourth committee on economic affairs by Chile campus. The committee leader is Egemen Günay. You may start, Egemen.
Thank you, moderator. Motion for a resolution by the Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs. In the light of increasing inequalities, the intensifying inequalities among people, and many questioning current economic models, what can alternative economic approaches play and how can they affect today's education system? The ITK Youth Parliament. Deeply conscious on the fact that unjust distribution of income can cause political and social unrest and threaten social peace. Aware of the fact that unemployment in Turkey has been increasing for more than a decade, despite the Turkey's fast-growing economy and relatively large currency reserve. Taking into consideration the studies on the issue of income inequality and the output as unemployment, which has been conducted and currently being executed by the Republic of Turkey. The notable studies by the government are as follows. I, definition of poverty. II, various studies in 1973, 1987, and 1994. The special expertise report for the Ninth Development Plan in 2007. D, underlining the strong linkage between poverty and income inequality. E, conscious of the fact that some families in Turkey cannot or do not reinforce their children's education, especially their daughters. F, bearing in mind that budget transfer to education in Turkey in recent years has increased, but in fact the given budget is not sufficient to finance education and available sources are not used effectively. G, keeping in mind without education, no economic approaches can stand a chance towards solution. G, noting with deep concern, disparities between women and men arise not only in terms of labor force participation, but also in terms of income. Noting that reports on the given issue clearly indicate that there is not enough data and research on the matter. H, realizing rapid population growth negatively affects economic growth, but also reduces family income level. 1, emphasizes the role of states adopted economy policies on the solution income inequality and urges the government to consider embarking on the policies and acts listed below. A, configuring the tax system by I, raising the exemption level of income tax. II, reducing the taxes on materials which are essential to humane living. III, adjusting the fortune taxes and ensuring the enforcement of the taxes. IV, taxing economic rent to encourage investment and enterprise. B, aiming for stabilization of markets which will restore confidence and attract interior and foreign investors, which will cause the high inflation, high interest rates to drop and raise the value of the national currency by I, considering the principle of merit in appointment. II. Working to stabilize interior and foreign affairs. III. Passing legislations which aims to prevent illegal markets. IV. Supporting their investors and entrepreneurs. C. Passing legislation which will protect the rights of the laborers. D. Reducing interest rates if the markets are ready in order to boost investment. 2. Encourages Turkish government to take measures listed below on the issue of unemployment. A. Encouraging and developing the agriculture-based industries in rural areas to prevent migration towards urbans by I. Revising their policies on import of seeds. II. Providing financial support to local agricultural producers. III. Strengthening the infrastructure in agricultural areas. B. Creation of rapid industrialization, which is replacement of individual manual labor by mechanized mass production, craftsmen by assembly lines. By I. Founding required institutions and taking steps to keep up with the global technologies. II. Providing opportunities in Turkey to attract foreign investors and by doing so creating available employment opportunities, thereby decreasing unemployment. C. Establishment of vocational courses in the country. 3. Invites Turkish government to take measures to eradicate poverty in the nation, which are advised and listed below. A. Creating policies which will work to reintegrate the people under poverty into society. B. Fighting against short-term effects of poverty by I. Providing monetary aid to people in need. II. Granting affordance in social services such as health system and transportation. III. Fulfilling sufferers of poverty's humane needs such as sheltering, nourishment, and access to clean water. C. Fighting against causes of poverty by I. Providing free or cheap education to their people, especially sufferers of poverty. II. Installing scholarship to sufferers of poverty. III. Revising their national curriculum in order to modernize Turkish education system, which is in some ways found to be insufficient and decreasing the productivity of education. IV. Working to create more employment in order to provide self-sustaining income to people suffering from poverty. 4. Recognizes the importance of access to education and the quality of education on the solution of income inequality and calls for Turkish government to adopt following advices given by the Econ. A. Monetary funding must be provided to families which are unable to provide necessary education or educational materials to their children. B. Popularization campaigns on the importance of education must be conducted by the state in order to increase the attendance to education, which will be an important step towards breaking the poverty and inequality chain by including, but not limited to, I. Holding seminars and events on the issue, especially in the districts which have lower attendance rates. II. Using state television to publicly advertise. III. Providing monetary funds to independent efforts to promote education. C. Instructional programs for school administrators must be organized in order to improve the management of the budgets given to schools. D. A revision on the percentage of the annual budget assigned to the Turkish Ministry of Education must be made because of the fact that the current percentage is below OECD average. E. A further revision must be made on the division of Turkish Ministry of Education's annual budgets between primary, secondary, and tertiary education, because according to recent reports, tertiary education has the most weight among other, which is against the cumulative process of education. 5. Solemnly affirms when women are fairly included in the economy, the positive impact on the economy can grow even greater with the help of A. Abandoning neoliberal policies and strengthening the social state in order to support its citizens and to provide resources without discriminating genders. B. Hosting informative and interactive events where people can be informed about how they can contribute to this issue by I. Making sure that gender inequality regarding income level is spoken about more on the mainstream media. II. Arranging online or face-to-face seminars on the topic. C. creating policies that focus on women based on women's problems and needs at work, in addition to assuring gender-sensitive budgeting, which is an approach designed to mainstream the gender perspective into all stages of the budget cycle. 6. Calls upon Turkish government to support the researchers and research projects on the matter to provide more accurate data by A. Granting tax incentives, B. Financial funding, C. Strengthening academic independence in the country, D. Directing their citizens to study in fields that are concerned by the matter, given the fact that most research projects on the matter are conducted by Turkish researchers. 7. Advise the Turkish government to actively monitor Turkey's population growth and take necessary actions to prevent overpopulation. Advised acts are as follows. A. Granting government support to families with no more than 2 children and cut the support if a third child is born. B. Legislating necessary acts to provide access to abortion services and to fight against social stigma against abortion. C. Holding free parenting courses to willing parents. Thank you. The committee yields the floor back to the moderator.
Thank you, Egeman. And the questions to the fourth committee.
We have a question.
Yes.
The committee mentioned that the government will support their people by reducing taxes and unemployment and in some other ways, but how will they manage to support all of the clauses with their current economy, considering that they are not able to borrow money from the other countries because of their current debts?
Thank you for your question. The committee is well aware of the Turkey's economic situation, and that's because the committee also included clauses which will improve the Turkish economy. Those are the clauses which are first, second, and the third clause. They are our main clauses which focus on the improvement of the Turkish economy. So our resolution also includes the improvement of the Turkish economy. So the Turkish government shouldn't have much problems on funding their citizens if they follow the advices given by our committee. And I would also like to remind the committee to these are advices given by the Econ, and we ask the Turkish government to adopt these policies if they can. And also in our clauses, we mentioned if the situation in the markets are available, the government can do this. The committee can revise the resolution again, and I'm sure they will see that all the concerns they have mentioned here are addressed in our resolution. Thank you.
And thank you for your answer.
Any other questions?
Another question.
Yeah, sure, you may ask your question.
In 2020, a project was launched in Turkey with the sole aim of providing the villages in Ankara with completely free, I would like to emphasize, free internet. At the end of the project, which lasted almost 1 year to be honest, whatever, over 900 villages were provided with the free service. However, 4 villages rejected this. 4 villages rejected the free internet due to it contradicting their their beliefs. What if something like this happens with providing the, let's say, free education to poverty, people suffering from poverty? What will the delegates do in that condition?
Thank you for your question, delegate. Again, this issue is also mentioned in our, I believe, 4th clause on education, which states that the state will work to promote education and the importance of education, as far as I can remember, by state television and holding campaigns, seminars, and events, which may be face-to-face or maybe online. So I believe the issues stated by the delegates is clearly addressed in our resolution. Thank you.
So they will enforce it then?
No one will enforce free education. The state will just advertise the importance of education to people who are suffering from poverty. And while doing that, the state will also drop the costs of education by the acts we have stated in the resolution. I'm unable to recall them now. but the delegate can look within the resolution and find the answers to their questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, but I think that's a good enough answer. So they are not going to do anything because, of course, free education is a vital and important thing to someone's own quality of life.
I don't think I can allow follow-up questions.
Thank you for your answer, delegate. I yield back the floor to the moderator.
If you may ask your question on behalf of your committee.
I just want to ask something about the format of the resolution paper, because in the introductory part, there were letters from Turkish alphabet. So is it legal to use them in EYP? I just want to ask that.
Thank you for your question, delegate. We are aware of the situation because my computer is using Turkish language, and because my Word, Microsoft Word, is not licensed, I cannot change the language of the document, so it automatically uses those letters. We advised our advisors, and they said that it is okay to have those letters. So we apologize for having those, but it's nothing. There's nothing we can do about it. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, then the board members shall explicate their acceptances.
Thank you, moderator. As the board members, we find your solutions applicable, so we accepted. We think that they were great ideas, and it was clearly seen that they had a deep dive research, which we appreciate, and we really strongly agree with the part on seed regulation policy. We think it's a great one, and we generally really like the resolution. I yield the floor to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Yağmur. Our last committee is on Foreign Affairs by BTK Campus. The committee leader is Batuhan Bestel. The floor is yours, Batuhan.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Motion for a resolution by Foreign Affairs. Brain drain is defined as a migration of health personnel in search of the better standard of living and quality of life, higher salaries, access to advanced technology, and more stable political conditions in different places worldwide. The loss of a young and educated workforce is a huge challenge for local communities in many parts of the world, as well as Turkey. Today, it's a well-known fact that the phenomenon of brain drain poses a risk to the long-term sustainability of Turkey. Enabling educated individuals to work abroad entails a brain drain and results in educated unemployment at home. Why do talented people leave their countries and go abroad? What are the consequences of such migrations, especially on the education sector? What policies can be adopted to stem such movements from developing countries to developed countries? How can brain drain be converted into wisdom gain? The ITK Youth Parliament. A. Bearing in mind that most individuals tend to immigrate to countries that are capable of providing higher education on increased levels, so that brain drain can be reduced. B. Alarmed by the fact that Turkey is not preferred by students and adults who are in seek of conservative education and jobs. Outcomes of the situation is bringing high levels of brain drain to the country. C. Deeply concerned by the fact that Turkey's future job qualifications are acknowledged to be worse than overseas, which is expected potentially to carry Turkey into higher risks of brain drain. D. Noting that 62.8% of the mayor population in Turkey is planning on immigrating for a better standard of living because I. Opportunities overseas. II. Incomes of jobs in Turkey. III. Better qualities in foreign workplaces. E. Keeping in mind that the reason behind brain drain is lack of education and starting up comprehensive schools are not the primary solution to this problem. F. Fully aware of the fact that the issues that result in brain drain can be simply fixed by I. Developing workplaces aiming better incomes. II. Acknowledging people about good opportunities in their country. III. Stabilizing the money people earn in Turkey to bring justice. J. Affirming that people are going to struggle for a while, but informing them about the state of economy or raising people awareness and helping them because of their assholes can be useful. H. Noting with regret that recently the percentage of unemployment in Republic of Turkey has raised to 27%, which is one of the main reasons of high rates of brain drain in the country. 1. Encourages all the academic high levels to create a good environment for the university, high school, and secondary school students to acknowledge the life and the opportunities on homeland by A. Having a lesson schedule of opportunities in job sectors in the rubric because I. Most of the new graduates are aiming to leave the homeland for good jobs. Job opportunities are so scarce, and the only possibility of finding unemployment depends on your social contacts. Making it easier to graduates to find jobs will end up creating better economy standards and decrease the level of brain drain. B, having commercials, ads, and adverts of job opportunities on the internet, TV, and radios so that employers and the job applicants can contact easier. 2, emphasizes that brain drain can be minimized, which would result in better future and standards of Turkey can be substantiated by A, claiming and developing our universities and job places, incoming of conservative education and jobs by I, better equipment and experts to be selected for job places and universities. II, creating fruitful and peaceful environment for works to be more professional and efficient. B, opening facilities that are responsible of creating and making people aware of job opportunities so that unemployment rates can be decreased in the long run. 3, calls upon member states to publish a law in order to stabilize and get the job qualifications under control so that the unemployment in Turkey can be aimed to decrease and end on the long run. A, this law of job qualification stabilization will be made of I, simple and basic job qualifications people can achieve. II, covering and respecting the rights of employers and their safety. III, making sure that the unemployed person is not discriminated and marginalized. B, the limit of those laws will be set by I, government so that the unemployed person can be easily rehabilitated. II, laws so that employers are also having a good job environment. 4, strongly advise the member states to take action on the life standards of Turkish people, which is the main reason of the brain drain, so inhibition of immigration and brain drain can be performed. This can be actualized with A, aiming to hit unemployment and develop the economy for the life standards to workers to end up in equal lifestyle, which they deserve. B, universal welfare gap to be closed and employers and workers to have a harmony to create the perfect economy and country rate. 5, urge the authorities to primarily obstruct the brain drain by involving in the center of job giving and employment by A, creation of employment providence facility, which would benefit from I, the employers and unemployed people's welfare, II, the economical structure of the country, III, the guidance to better life standard in country. B, the employment providence facility will be subsuming goals for beneficial welfare of the country, which are I, low taxes and guidance to have a decrease on brain drain rate. II, economically distressed over country. III, inviting the unemployed people and employers to end up together. 6, endorses that brain drain can be smothered and prevented by astonishing and taking attention over country by A, industrialization over the parts of the country so that better income and standards of economy can appear by I, employment providence facility, which would end up with more workers and more workplaces. II, government involving in upgrading and developing workplaces. B, advertising commercials of employment providence facility and specific employers on their own on I, TV, radio, internet channels, II, YouTube, Instagram and social media channels, III, theaters, cinemas and supermarkets. C, the equity of jobs and gender equality on the payments and income the women and men have. 7, further urges the authorities to raise awareness amongst the country, aiming the brain drain issue to reduce and resisting economical disguise by A, acknowledging people about the income of the standard job they are performing because I, preventing injustice among workers, II, creating a more stabilized economic standard, III, equity amidst citizens' welfare. 8, reminds the parliament that the statistics of Turkey among unemployment and brain drain is not heartwarming because of the fact that Turkey is losing important names every year, which is resulting in a big disgrace. To bring Turkey a sustainable future and an economical welfare, the authorities should take action. Thank you for listening. I yield the floor back to the moderator.
Thank you, Batuhan. Now the delegates of the Foreign Affairs Committee is open to points of information.
We have a point of information. Generally, our question will be like one-word question. It's how. And by asking how, there are some parts of the resolution which we are unable to understand as a committee. And we would like to ask the head of the committee to further elaborate on those clauses, which are second clause, subclause A, and subclause II. It just says creating work environment. It doesn't give further detail on it, and we believe that creating peaceful work environment is not something that can be done without further details. And also clause 4's subclause A and B's, we were unable to understand them. And also on clause 1, it is said that the committee will establish another institution which will give jobs. But as far as we're concerned, there's already an institution in Turkey which is responsible for providing jobs to their citizens, which is Turkish. So we would also like to ask the committee, why did they choose to form and establish another institution for unemployment when there's already a institution for that? And also 6th clause, subclause C, again, we would like to ask how for that clause. And also for the 7th clause, we would like a total elaboration on that. Thank you.
Of course, the delegate, but unluckily you weren't aware of the fact that the Turkey's foundation on job giving is not functioning right now, because there are lots of unemployed people, which we mentioned at our preambulatory clauses, which is 27% of Turkey is unemployed right now. And the clauses you wish to elaborate are ending at the same point, actually. You asked how. And you mentioned on the previous questions that these are advices. The resolution papers are advices which Turkey should take action on them. And so you're giving your question an own answer, actually. And if you ask how, these are only advices, as you said, and you asked something about 6th clause C subclause, which is about the gender equality and the given income to women and men, which should be done. And it's not a question, actually. You cannot ask this, because a doctor woman and doctor men should take the same income, because this is justice. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, delegate.
Do any of the other committees have any questions?
We do. We would like to ask if it's reasonable to expect member states to help with our country's own problems when it actually benefits them, this brain drain problem. And also, we would like to ask if, we would like to ask about the same topic that the delegate from the Econ Committee asked about how the resolution states a lot of phrases like take action, but there aren't any specific methods to take action to follow up on them.
Well, I can answer your question simply. The lab formats are different than resolution formats, so I cannot include them here in a formal situation. But if you want a clear example, the job qualifications, you need to be aged of 20, for example, people easy to be achieved. The job qualification law will be just achievable by everyone, because in Turkey, as we mentioned in our resolution, if you have enough social contacts, it's really easy to find a job, but it's not like that. And as you said, it shouldn't be like that. And as you said, it's benefits. The member states benefits from this because it's a brain drain. But the thing is, actually, the member states defining there is the member states of EYP, which is the committees of the Turkey right now, and they're not benefiting. But if you're mentioning the countries which are getting brain drain from us, you're right on that point. But what we mentioned is something else.
Motion to follow up. Dear moderator, may I follow up?
No. Motion denied. Are there any other questions? I guess not. Then let's turn to our board members.
Thank you, Tarkan. As the board members, we find your solutions applicable, so we accept it. I congratulate the Batın Satış campus students assigned to the Foreign Affairs Committee for their hard work. The solutions had many sub-clauses that shows how much thought was given to the detailing process of the clauses. The Employment Providence Facility was our favorite part in the resolution paper. The floor is yielded back to the moderator.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, honorable board members. Thanks to our fellow delegates for their fruitful resolutions. Now it's time to announce the names who have deserved the awards. I'd like to start with introducing you the award categories. There are 5 awards waiting to be given. The most hardworking delegate, the funniest delegate, the most creative delegate, the most energetic delegate, and the most determined delegate. I will start with the announcement of the most determined delegate and go backwards. The most determined delegate award goes to Elif Özel from the Committee on Environment, Public Health and Food Safety. The most energetic delegate award is taken by Arami Ayhan from the Committee on Culture and Education. The most creative delegate award is taken by Egemen Günay from the Committee on Economic Affairs. The one who always cheered us up by making the wittiest jokes and comments stole our hearts. The funniest delegate award goes to Batuhan Bessel from the Committee on Foreign Affairs. The final award, called the Most Hardworking Delegate Award, goes to Yasemin Işıldak from the Committee on Sports, Art and Culture. We would like to congratulate you, not only the ones who have been granted an award, but also everybody who worked hard and shouldered responsibility. I assure you all that the board members were totally objective while deciding on the names who have been granted an award. I would like to end this speech gratefully. We have challenges, but we have possible solutions. Today, we wanted to voice our concerns and propose some resolutions on some issues for a sustainable future for the youth. We hope young voices can be heard better and the youth is actively involved in solutions to the issues. Thank you so much, everyone, for all your efforts, and we hope you have enjoyed it.
Tarkan, thank you so much. Can I say something?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Distinguished delegates of the ITK Youth Parliament, board members, committee leaders, and advisors, thank you very much. I'd like to thank every single delegate, every single participant here in this event. Feedback is a dialogue, and giving it is never easy. And in fact, it's a gift. You did it very successfully. Congratulations for that, and thank you very much for that. Thank you for voicing your concerns and providing resolutions to the issues. Another thing is asking a good quality question always adds to your power. And that's what you showed today. Last but not least, as Mustafa Kemal Atatürk uttered, all my hope is in youth, he uttered, you know, and your participation and dedicated work prove that you will be all very responsible citizens. Thank you very much. Now, I'd like to share the certificates with you, with the teachers. The first one, I'd like to hand over to Ms. Yorulmaz, please.
Thank you, Ms. Artiner. I'd like to thank everyone who participated in this prestigious event, all committee members, board members, and our moderator as well. It was a pleasure, a great pleasure for us to listen to your valuable ideas. Congratulations to you all again.
And then Bornova campus, Ms. Kılınç, please.
I want to thank all my students one by one for their contributions, hard work, and participation. They have done a great job. I want to thank them all and congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
Ms. Demirci, please.
I would like to thank all of my students. I appreciate their hard work and their efforts. You did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Aydoğan, please.
I would like to send out my special thanks to my students. They actually worked very hard during this marathon. It wasn't a sprint, it was really a marathon. And I can see that actually all of the campuses were quite prepared very well. So let's hope to see more of these events in our future ITK years. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Akın, please, for Bahattin Tatish campus.
I would like to thank all the students, all the delegates from BTK campus for their hard work and cooperation. Thank you, everyone. You did a great work. It was really a pleasure for us to listen to your ideas. It was really great experience for all of us. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you. I'd also like to thank Ms. Bashar, the Vice Principal at Marmaris Campus, who joined us. Special thanks is to Ms. Medetoğlu, who is an EYP teacher, who's an EYP advisor. She prepared the roadmap for us. She prepared the list, the checklist for us, and she guided us. For the icebreakers, which you did before the General Assembly here, I'd like to thank all the teachers. And finally, when I share my screen, unfortunately, something happens. I myself would like to thank everyone very much with a bar of chocolate and with a bouquet of flowers. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ms. Artuner.
It is my pleasure. I'm really, really proud of all of you. Thank you, everyone. Mr. Moderator, special thanks to you too. You were great. Thank you.
Thank you.